Yep. Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's Three on Thursday. It is September 29th, 2022. My name is Sue Sanders, and I am an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Lake Ozark / Eldon, Missouri. We have some exciting cards today, but before we get to that, let me show you the cards that we did last week. This is my current host code for the month of October, and you can find me out on my blog at SuzieQStamping.com. So we'll have the banner put up there with the host code here in just a little while. So these are the three cards that I made last week without the aid of my assistant because she was on a little mini vacation. So those are the cards that we did, and the winner for these cards is Karen Bond. So congratulations, Karen. You won these cards, and I will get those to you. All right. So we have some exciting cards today. They're all kind of fun fold except for one, but it's kind of got a really unique front to it. I also want to remind you that today is the last day to get the special die cuts that are offered. They are called the, let me think, Perfect Partners, I believe. But if you go out to my Stampin' Up! Website, you can look under specials and it will show up there for the specials that we have going. Okay, I'm going to adjust my camera here just a little bit and see if I can bring out or take away where there we go. Still showing it a little bit, but all right. So let's get stamping today, because some of the cards might take us a little while and I don't want to run too far over our hour. So the first card that we're going to make is our Christmas card for this week. So this is the card that we're going to make today. Okay, and that is using Starry Sky and the Joyful Flurry stamp set. I also have another card that I made just like this, except it's for a birthday card for a man, or I guess it could be for a woman, but I had a man in my thoughts. Put that away. All right, so I'm going to explain to you what pieces we have today for this card. So it's really a easy card to put together. We have the Starry Sky card base, and then we have the Designer Series paper, which is I have the wrong name for that. It is this pack of paper here, and Lights Aglow, I believe. But it's this paper pack here that has the different golds and greens and cherry cobbler. So, and it's in the mini catalog. I think it's Lights Aglow.
Yes.
Yes. So it's Lights Aglow. And I had that wrong, so I was really on the ball today. I was getting my blog post ready to post as soon as I got the video uploaded. So hello, Terry Jackson and Cherie and Lynn. I am so glad that you were able to find me today. Okay, so it's the Lights Aglow paper that I'm using for this. And I'm using some of the brushed metallic cardstock in the gold. I don't know if you can really see it or not, but there is just a very fine layer of gold there. I'm using Very Vanilla for the inside greeting as well as for the outside greeting, and I did emboss the greeting on the front, and I've gone ahead and done that. So here's our pieces for this card. So we have our Joyful Wishes for our greeting. Then we have a piece of Very Vanilla that we're going to stamp on, and that measures 1 3/4 by 3 1/8. Here's our gold metallic paper, and that measures at 1 7/8 by 3 1/8. And then our border frame is, for some reason, I forgot to write that down. All right. So it measures, we have two pieces that are measuring at 3 inches by 1 inch, and then two pieces that measure 4 1/4 by 1 inch. So we have those two pieces. Don't ask me why I forgot to write those down on my little cheat sheet. I don't know. So the first thing that we do is we've got our basic card base, which is the 8 1/2 by 5 1/2 scored at the 4 1/4 mark. And you're going to burnish that real good with your bone folder. Then you're going to start laying your border down. Excuse me. So I'm going to attach one of the smaller pieces, and I'm just using my multi-purpose glue. And we're going to put my silicone pad underneath me so that if I get it off, it's not going to stick on my paper. And you're just going to have a very tiny border around your card. This is called a frame card. I'm going to now take one of the longer pieces. And keep in mind that just because I'm showing this as a Christmas card, you can use any designer series paper and any stamp set that you want to make this card. It's really kind of simple. And then we're going to lay that piece down going along the edge. And I just rotate my card. It's just easier for me to lay down my pieces if I rotate it. So Terry, you're driving from St. Louis to the lake. And anybody that knew Teresa Caps, I have been in touch with her. She is safe. Oops, I got that scooted too much. Let me fix that. She is safe down in Florida. She is in Orlando. And, oh, come on now, pull up for me. Don't do that. Her son and her brother are down at Fort Myers, and she did say that they had some damage to their homes, but they are safe. But there has been several casualties with this hurricane. I know I've got family friends that were living down by Tampa on the beach by the Air Force Base, and they evacuated earlier this week to Georgia, so they are gone. So I was glad to hear that they had evacuated. Okay, so now I'm going to take my Starry Sky ink, and we're going to stamp on our very vanilla and make our own little snowflake background. So, whoops, that was kind of heavy-handed there, Sue. Get something to wipe that off with. So does anybody else besides Cherie have family down in Florida? Cherie, I'm hoping that your family is all safe. Okay, so I'm just going to stamp some of these bigger snowflakes just randomly on my paper here. Oh, my fingers do not want to work. All right, I'm going to stamp off the excess ink and clean that. Cindy, you have family and friends down in Florida? Welcome, welcome, Cindy McGee. I know that they're safe, but they don't have any power. Well, as long as they are safe, that's a good thing. I guess when you live in Florida long enough, you kind of get used to hurricanes. I don't know whether I could get used to those. I'm going to now take my small snowflake stamp and I'm going to stamp off once and then stamp where there's empty space at. And some of this is going to be hidden by our greeting, but I just want to make sure that I have a good coverage so that, because I'm thinking that my greeting is going to go right down there. Oh, Teresa, you've got 4 sisters and a brother in Naples. Well, good. I'm glad to hear that your families are safe too. My uncle just recently, within the last couple of months, moved from Winter Haven, and he said that they had gotten kind of hit. So yeah, so Charlie looks little compared to this one. It's really quite devastating. And I feel bad for all of those that are down there that have got structural damage to their homes. All right, now I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to place my very vanilla stamped image onto my gold piece. Oh, so Terry, your sister-in-law near Sarasota was evacuated, but then returned today, and the house is safe. Well, that's good, because that causeway, I can't believe that that causeway is completely destroyed out to that island. I can't remember the name of the island, but it's like, oh my goodness, those people that are on the island, I hope they all evacuated. I know there's a demonstrator, Lisa Curcio. She lives down in Florida, and she had posted that they were all fine, but Mother Nature had done some damage. So it's, come on now, Sue, let's get this laid down straight. All right, now we're going to take this piece here and we're going to lay it in the center of our card so it looks like it's been framed out like a picture. So I really like this effect. And the cool thing about this particular type of card is that it can be either vertical or horizontal, or portrait or landscape, whichever you want to say. So if we wanted to, we could turn the card this way, but I'm making it this way. And now our Joyful Wishes is going to go down here in the corner. And we're going to use some dimensionals for that, even though I know that I don't know where my dimensionals are. So we're going to just cut some leftover sheets. And you do want to make sure, whoops, they are so sticky, they stick to my hands. I think I'm going to have to make markers on my tabletop to know where I have to stay within the camera view so that I don't keep going, whoops, going lanky. Yeah. So I am glad to have my assistant back this week. While I can do it myself, it's more fun to have her here with me, so, because she can type. I can't type and stamp at the same time. So that's pretty even. We got all those little areas covered with dimensionals.
It's National Coffee Day.
Oh yes, today is National Coffee Day. She was so sweet and went out and got me some coffee from Scooters. Okay, so now I'm just going to put this right there on my card, and it's that simple. And for some reason, I do not have my inside piece, but I will cut it. I just put sending you all the best this new year, and that is a stamp that is out of the Joyful Flurries. So here is the stamp set that I used. For my greeting, I used the die from the potted succulents because I didn't want a great big square or anything, but my Joyful Wishes is kind of big, but that from the potted succulents fits just right around that Joyful Wishes. So there's another use for another die set that you might have in your stash. So that is that card. And like I said, I will stamp the inside for the winner for the cards. Okay, let me show you what an alternative is for that card. So here's an alternative that I made for a masculine card. And I used the He's All That paper. I have not put an inside on it yet, but it's Cheers to All Your Years. So it's a birthday card. All right, let's move on to our next card. Our next card, and I know I used this set last week, but I really, really like this Hello Harvest set. It is so pretty. So here's the Hello Harvest, and like I said, last week we did it with this pumpkin, and we did it with some flowers. This week we're going to kind of do a completely different card using this, so it's going to look totally different than what we did last week. And I am using the metallic and shimmer paper. This is also in the mini catalog. And this is such really pretty paper. So there it is with the Evening Evergreen. And they're blank on the back side. So you get 3 sheets of each color. I think you get 3 sheets of each color. Yes, because you get 3 colors. You get the Evening Evergreen, and you get black and white and silver. And then you get the Cajun Craze, which is what I'm working with today. And I used all of it up for my cards. So, but I'm going to try the Evening Evergreen and do it with the same kind of layout, but with a different stamp set. Now, this card has lots of little pieces to it, so we are going to lay them out so that you can all know what the measurements are. This is a card that was inspired by Lisa Curcio and her daughter, Gina Holly, from their stamping retreat that I went to, or that I signed up for last weekend. And it is such an easy card to make. I can share the measurements and I can show you how to do it. But once I show you, you'll be able to put it together without any problem. So here's the card. So it is a smaller type card, but you open it up, and you open it up, and then you open it up. So it's like a mini card inside of a card. Okay. All right, so let's lay out our pieces so that you know what we're working with. Okay, so we have our Cajun Craze card base, and that measures 10 3/4 by 5, and you're going to score it at 3.5 and 7. And then we're going to do some cutting, and I'm going to show you how to do that cutting in just a minute on the trimmer. Then you have the brushed metallic cardstock, and for the small piece, that measures 3 3/8 by 1 7/8. And then you have a larger piece that measures 3 1/4 by 2 7/8. And another piece that measures at, I keep losing my ruler. It's like it disappears. I don't know what happened to it. I'm borrowing one. Oh, I see it now. It's across the table. Okay, so then you have another piece of the brushed metallic that measures 2 7/8 by 3 7/8, and that is for our mini card. I'm looking at my notes here, so if you're wondering what I'm rustling around over here. All right, so that's our brushed metallic for the mini card. And then for the layer for the back of our card, that piece measures at 3.5 by 4 7/8. So that piece is going to go there. Then we have designer paper that lays on top of all of those metallic pieces. So this one is 1 3/4 by 3.5. And the measurements are all going to be out on my blog. And then this one measures 3 1/4 by 2 3/4. So that's going to get laid there. For the front of our mini card, that is 2 3/4 by 3 3/4. Is it all in the camera view? And then our back layer is 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. So it's going to lay there like that. Then I have a piece of very vanilla that measures 3 inches by 8 inches. So it's 3 inches this way, 8 inches this way, scored at 4 inches in the center. And that's our little mini card, is what I'm calling it. Okay, so let's go ahead before we start doing any cutting on our base card. We're going to go ahead and attach all of these designer series paper to our brushed metallic. And again, these just give you a very narrow border of that gold showing. And I'm just using my multi-purpose glue. I never used to be a fan of multi-purpose glue, but boy, I am now, especially since I got that fine tip bottle that I have it in. Yes, I love this paper. I looked at it and I had wanted to do something with it, and when I seen the Cajun craze, and I thought, oh, I got that one new card layout or fold that's a fun fold, and I thought that would be so pretty using that Hello Harvest stamp set. So that's why I'm using that stamp set again this week. Is I just love the way the pumpkins turned out on it. Whoops, wrong piece to put the glue on. And this paper does come, it doesn't come 12 by 12, it's a 6 by 6 paper pack. So I'm going to make several different cards, some different fun fold cards just to show you. I may do some fun folds on a video on a Friday. I don't know yet, depends. If you missed our Mystery Monday, Magic Mystery Monday, we had such a great time Monday night. Great laughs. The cards all turned out really cute. No, and you can't glue the DSP upside down. No, you can't. But it's a one directional, but that's okay. All right, so we've got those pieces all glued together. Now let me pull my trimmer out here, and I'm going to show you.
Quick question.
Yes.
You've got two of your gold sheets.
Mm-hmm.
Did you cut the smaller one out of the inside of the bigger one?
No, I didn't.
Could
you could. Well, if you used a die, you could. But these are not necessarily the size of a die cut. Okay? So that was, Dorothy asked the question if I could use and cut the center, say like from this piece of gold, if I could cut one of these smaller pieces from that. You could if you had a die that would be the exact same size. I don't think we do. I didn't even really try it, so I'll have to see if I can do that. Okay. Now this card, it doesn't matter if you have the shorter piece over here or the shorter piece over here and vice versa, because it just folds in over itself. Okay, so this is measured 3 inches down. This is measured 2 inches down. Very simple cuts, especially with our trimmer. So I'm going to place my card going long ways, and I'm going to place it at the 2-inch side, and I'm going to put my glasses on so I can see. And what I like about our trimmer is it has the marks over here, but I'm going to go in here and I'm going to cut my paper at 2 inches, which is going to leave me a 3-inch piece over here, and I'm going to cut it down to that score line. Then I'm going to turn my paper and I'm going to line that score line up right in my groove of my paper trimmer. And I'm going to score down, or cut down, I'm sorry, cut down to the 2-inch mark. Okay. And there you have it. It's cut out. So there is our 3-inch bottom piece. Now I'm going to turn my card over and I'm going to cut it at 3 inches. Doing it keeping my card the long way. And I'm going to cut to the score line again. And then I'm going to flip it. And right there on that, what did I do? That's not right. What did I do wrong? Hang on a second, guys. Oh, that's because I cut that one at the 3-inch first. This one has to be at the 2-inch. Sorry about that. I didn't realize that I had done the 3-inch first. So we're going to line it up at the 2-inch, and it's okay because that part that I'd partially cut, it's going to be gone out of there anyway. So then I'm going to rotate it around again, and I'm going to line up the score line, and I'm going to just go all the way down till I hit that score line. That piece popped out, that piece popped out. Usually you would only have one piece. Okay, now if when you fold this it's just not quite right, then you just need to trim off just a tad from the front piece. So I'm just cutting off where my trimmer has the guide to it. It's like maybe 1/8 of an inch. And I'm just going to put my blade in the center and then cut it. Okay. So now when I fold this in, well, it should. I'm going to cut off just a little bit more. It's funny because I didn't have to do this with my example card. It folded up and did just fine. And now that's short, and that shouldn't be. Don't understand that, but it will work. But you know how I am. I'm too perfectionist, so we're going to get another piece of paper and we're going to cut it. So I'm cutting it at 5 inches. I'll cut my 10 3/8 first. So 10 3/8. So I'm just cutting off a tiny little bit. Now I'm going to cut it at 5 inches. And then we're going to score it at 3.5. Make sure that your cutting blade is out of the way. There's my 3.5. I'm going to move it down here to 7. Okay. Now we're going to start our cuts all over again, ladies, because I don't know what I did, but I did something. Fold our arm back in. All right. So we're going to cut our 2-inch first. Move our score blade. So I'm coming in at 2 inches on the long side and coming down, and it hits right about, it's not quite at 3.5, which I don't understand, but okay. And then I'm going to rotate it, line it up my score line in the and cut down, and that piece pops out. Now we're going to rotate this one. Going to line it up at 3 inches and bring it to our score line. Rotate it, line up our score line in our track, and cut. There we go. And get all these scraps out of the way. So that's what you should have when you get done cutting. So I suggest, this is a good suggestion, I've got some old, well, it's not old, but some cheap, inexpensive cardstock that I needed for another project. So I'm going to go ahead and make myself a template so that I can remember how to cut this and I don't have to keep referring back to my notes. All right, this works out much better. Okay, so now we're going to burnish those edges with our bone folder. Wherever my bone folder went. Well, that's one. That's not the small one. There's my small one. Now I'm going to burnish our edges really good. And you're going to see what I mean by it doesn't matter which direction they fold in. So I can fold this like this, oops, like this, with the big side in, or I can fold it this way. And for some reason, that is not, no, it's so aggravating. I guess it does have a little bit of a gap to it. Okay. I just hadn't really noticed it on my other one. So this is the way I've got it going. Okay, now we're ready to assemble. So the first thing that we're going to assemble is we're going to put this piece in the center. I think it'll be faster if I just do my tape runner or my stamp and seal. This does make it, because of all the different layers, it does make it heavy. but it's such a unique card that, you know, it's not necessarily one that you would send to just anybody. This piece is going to go on the front here. There is no, that is just really odd, ladies. My first one, my example one, just turned out perfect. No, because it goes like this. Because it touches the card edge. Well, I'm going to finish this one, and you all will get the one that's more perfect, if more perfect is a word or a combination of words, because I can use this one. Because you should have just a small edge around your paper, and I'm not showing that, so I don't know why. And then this piece we're going to put here. See, this matches up just fine. I don't know why my front piece, unless I just cut it just a tad different, that I got mixed up on what I was cutting, which is totally possible. Whoops. My hands feel like they're just really shaking today for some reason. I don't know why. And I'm putting my little dots down at the bottom because I've got so many dots up here. Well, you're not going to see many of those dots, but you'll see them on the front of our mini card. So here's our little mini card, and this is going to go like so. Doing all this prep work, and then we're going to do our pumpkins. See, I'm just fumbling today. So this gives you a nice little area to write a special message in. All right, because this is going to lay right here, like so. So we can go ahead and attach that. And you want to kind of, you don't necessarily want it, you want it centered sideways, but you can bring it up or down whichever direction you want. Okay, I don't guess that looks too bad. It's lining up now. I don't know. All right, let me get my scratch paper here, and we'll do our inking on our pumpkins. So last week I showed you how we did inking, and we're going to do basically the same thing this week, except I used soft suede for my stems instead of a green. And I'm going to actually ink with Old Olive onto that soft suede. It just kind of gives it a different color. It's not really brown, but it's not really green. Hi, Karen. It's the coffee. It might be the coffee, Lynn. I don't know, because no, I think what it is I don't eat. And so possibly my blood sugars are going down. I don't know. Because I do drink a lot of coffee, but then I don't eat anything because I'm not really hungry. So always remember to kind of dab off. And I'm just using a sponge dauber. And I'm just kind of making it look kind of brown green, I guess. So let me show you the difference between these if you can see it on the camera. So here's the difference. And you all are ahead of me, so I can't see what you all are. But this is the one that is just the soft suede without any inking, and this is the one that has the inking with the Old Olive. So it just kind of gives it that darker look. Okay, so we're done with our old olive. Now we're going to come in with our pumpkin pie, and we're going to ink around our pumpkins. So these are the ones that are embossed and die cut, that's in that die set for the rustic pumpkin dies. So I love these pumpkins. They are so cute when you put them together. They make such cute pumpkins. So we're going to, real quick here, we're going to ink around the edges to make them stand out and look more like realistic pumpkins. Oh yes, Karen, I know I need to eat, but I don't know. So I'm just kind of starting off my page, or starting off on my scrap and going around my edges of my pumpkins. And I know the center of the big pumpkin is going to get covered with the small pumpkin, so I don't have to really worry too much about it. But I always figure it's not finished unless I do the whole thing. Okay, so there's the first one. Karen, I forgot to ask you, how did your sale go, or what was it that you had at the fairgrounds? Was it last weekend? I know we had a good time at the Turkey Fest. Our float for Trail Life, they took third place. And then the kids had made birdhouses, and our older girls had made some sugar scrubs and some foot soak stuff and some slime. And I had put out some cards that I had made. And we didn't really have anything priced. Oh, and the boys had made some fire starters with pine cones and wax. And we just did a donation basis. And both the troops made $273 for the girls and $276 for the boys. It was really amazing how equal it came out. And then it was kind of funny because one gentleman donated $40 for one of the birdhouses for the boys. So that was kind of, oh, that's old olive. So I'm going to come back in with my soft suede, and I'm going to just kind of sponge where that embossing is. And not real heavy, but just kind of, that might even be a bit darker than I had wanted. Just to kind of give it that shadow of some brown. Yeah, it's a little bit darker than I'd wanted, but we can live with that. Got a little heavy-handed there. And there's so much you can do with these dies from this pumpkin set to really make these look like realistic pumpkins. So how many out there, let me know in your comments, what is your favorite season? How many people like fall the best? I personally, I don't know. I don't really have a favorite season. I like all of them. I don't think I could necessarily move someplace. Oh, you're on vacation in 2 weeks? Teresa likes spring. Yeah, spring always kind of reminds me of new beginnings. Fall always brings winter, and sometimes I'm not real fond of winter. I don't like ice. I don't mind the snow as long as I don't have to drive in it, but I don't like the ice. I'm losing my fondness of the cold. And so right now with these cold temperatures, and I know they're not really cold, it's just, they seem cold compared to what we've had. All right, I am just now gluing the top of the pumpkin to the bottom. I do like fall. I like to see the changing colors. I like spring because of all the flowers that start budding out. And I love summer because I get to visit Dr. Poole.
Which was so long ago.
And like I said, winter, it's not my ultimate favorite anymore because of getting cold so easily. Okay, so we're just building up our pumpkins. I'm going to take the stem and I'm going to glue it to the top. Just like so. Cindy McGee loves fall. Oh, you don't like the heat, Karen. I don't mind the heat. I guess I can handle the heat because I don't mind being outside, like mowing the grass. And,
except this last time, that was horrid.
Yes, we mowed last weekend, and oh my gosh, it was terrible. Just absolutely terrible because the grass was blowing, and I mean, I just started sneezing, and Dorothy's allergies really got to her. Oh, you get physically sick. Well, that's not good. So in the die cuts, you have three different little swirls. So you have one that looks like this, and then another one that looks like this, and then you have a long vine that looks like that. Okay, so you have to kind of punch out those little inside pieces that don't necessarily come out, but they usually will come off. And I did use the adhesive sheets for this. So we're going to put one of these little vines on each one of our pumpkins. Whoops, if I don't lose them on the floor. Yeah, I'm with you, Cherie. I don't like having to shovel the snow. If I could just stay in my house and not go anywhere and let the snow melt on its own, it would be perfect. So I'm just going to put one of my little vines going there. And the other one over here on this pumpkin. But I guess I do kind of like, I mean, I don't know. In the wintertime, not that I don't make time to stamp every season, because I do. There's our other little vine. Now we're going to take and attach our two pumpkins. One is going to kind of go down towards the bottom, and the other one's going to go on top of it. Let's do this and see if I can cover up some of that real dark area that I did. That'll be good. All right, so we're going to lay this one down, and you can kind of see where you want your placement to be, because you can fold that back over and kind of fix them how you want to where one is higher than the other one. Okay. Just a tad. This is a card that you don't really want to put any more bulk to it, so I wouldn't suggest using dimensionals on any of this, because there's enough thickness in just all the layers that you have. So I guess you're not going to cover that up, Sue. That's okay. Some pumpkins have dark spots, right? If they lay on the ground too long. And we're going to bring that one up. Let's see how that's going to cover it. Yes. So that's our pumpkins. And now we're going to take our third vine and we're going to lay it at the bottom where it's kind of coming over both of those pumpkins. So we're just going to kind of bring that from one pumpkin up to the other pumpkin, just like so. Okay, so that is our card. Now, for the greeting on the front of it, we are going to stamp, wrong stamp set. We're going to stamp, you are such a blessing. October is Pastor Appreciation Month. And so this is the card that I'm going to give to our pastor. And I am using pumpkin pie. Cherie, you will definitely have to share all of your ideas for this card, because I know my mind is kind of going 90 to nothing trying to figure out all the different papers and ways you can use this card. I'm going to stamp "You're Such a Blessing" in the center, because then I'm going to take one of our label punches and clip the corners off or the sides off. So "You are such a blessing." And that's a little crooked. Let's turn it over and see if we can do a better job. I think maybe my stamp moved because it wasn't. It did. I should have checked it before I stamped on my paper. And I think sometimes I think it's crooked, but it's the way that the font looks that it just is like an illusion to my eyes. Because the "you are" is not straight. All right, now I'm going to take our punch, and I am using the lovely label punch, and I'm going to use this one here. So this piece of paper is 3/4, no, what did I say this was? Right the first time. This is 1 inch by 3 inches, because I know that about 1/8 of an inch is going to get punched off from each side. So I turn my punch over and make sure that I have it centered in there, and then do the same to the other side. I always go for my flag banner punch. So this one I thought, oh, I'll just use my other punch on this one. So there is our, oops, there's our side we want to use. And that is going to get adhered down here to the front of our card. I am using, where is that the side? Gee, ladies, I can't tell which side is the straighter side. Maybe I didn't have it crooked. I am using the liquid glue only because there's a texture to this metallic paper, and I want to make sure that it adheres to it. So I'm going to lay that down there. So there is our finished card. So then you can open it up, and then you have a place to do your writing or other greeting that you want to do. So that is card number 2 today. What do you think of that card? Pretty cool, isn't it? I am really trying to be a neater stamper so that when I go to clean up stuff, I don't have stuff everywhere. Oh, my assistant is over here smiling and laughing. Well, I'm trying. You can always try. Doesn't mean it's going to happen, but you can certainly try. So, get all my bits of scraps. Because I am not a very neat stamper. I'm really not. All right. So, that was using the rustic pumpkin dies. So, here's all the different dies. Whoops, upside down. So, you've got the big flowers that you can stamp out. You've got a leaf, the banner, and those are the 3 little vines. You have a little flower that you can stamp, and then the 2 pumpkins that have the actual embossing with them when you die cut them. All right, card number 3. Card number 3 has a little story behind it. I had wanted to, I will clean that later. I thought, oh, well, I can make a second card and show you an example of the card. Yeah, well, I ended up using the same paper, or the paper that I wanted to use for the display or to make today for my second example card to show you all. Silly me. So this is going to be a card that can go either direction. Open portrait or open landscape. It doesn't matter. What's it looking for over there? Don't have any idea. Oh, my instructions. Oh my gosh. All right. Have any of you been on live video before? Ever? I mean, have you ever tried to explain and teach something while you're live? Well, if you haven't, perhaps you ought to try. And then you wouldn't laugh so hard at me. Yes, she would, she said. I got to get a drink. And it's not coffee, it's water. All right. So this is the card we are going to make. It's like a little peekaboo card. And it also has several little pieces to it. Now, this was my original example card. And this was supposed to be the card I made for you guys. However, when I went to make another card and get the paper all cut, I realized I didn't have any more paper that was going in the right direction. But when you open this card up, that's how it opens. So it's kind of a really cool little fun fold. So I'm going to show you how I fixed my mistake. So there's that one. Okay. So I decided that it's going to go together the same way, portrait or horizontal landscape. So we have our card base that measures 8.5 by 5.5, scored at 4 1/4. So that's our card base, and this is balmy blue. Then you have a piece of basic white, and the basic white is 5 by 8, and it is scored at 4 by 6. Do not ask me why that is off, just 1/8 of an inch. So, where's my trimmer at? And I'm going to cut it off at 1/8 of an inch because it's just a tiny bit too long. But hey, like I've said in the past, ladies, I'm real. I don't edit my photos or my videos. I just let it go because no one is perfect. So I've got that folded at our 4-inch and 6-inch. So it's going to go like this. And that's going to go inside of our card like so. Okay. And you'll notice that it is cut down shorter than a normal card layer. And that's so that when you pull it out, it's not as tall as the card base. All right. Now, we used some layering circles. And I could not tell you, like I said, I don't measure circles. So this is about a 2-inch circle here. Then we have one that is, there's my alarm to get up, and I'm not sleeping. 2 and 3/8, and then a scallop one that measures about 2.5. Okay, so these two, this one is going to cut out our layering circle. for the inside. This one, along with our 2-inch one, is going to make our little frame. And I've already got this one attached to where it needs to go. You want to kind of center this, and this is going to get adhered to our card base. So see how my paper is running this direction instead of this direction? That's what I mean by I kind of messed it up. And I don't want to lose where I want to cut it out at, because I kind of lined up my flowers with where I'm going to die cut it, so that that flower fits right back inside of. What's wrong with my glue? I think I've got a dry spot in there. Just pull out my big bottle. And you see the difference in the small tip and the large tip? I really like my little tip. Okay, so we're going to flip that over, and we are going to lay it on our card base, like so, as straight as Sue can get it. Okay. All right. Now, realistically, you would lay your layer of your DSP down. And this is the a wash and beauty paper. I've had it, and I've never done anything with it. I've never made any cards with it. And so I thought, oh, well, I need to use that paper. So then what you're going to do is you're going to get your stamp and cut and emboss machine, and you're going to die cut this circle. Now, silly me, I just realized that you're not supposed to attach that center piece, or the center of that DSP, to your background. Second time I've done that today. That's okay. Because that circle is what you're going to use. And now that it's attached to my card base, it's just going to make a thicker circle to be layered, which is fine. I did that on my one. So I just centered that in my card base, cut it out with my die machine using that circle. We're going to remove that circle. That leaves us a hole in our card. Oh my goodness. This now is going to get adhered to this. And what I like to do is I like to put my card down on my circle, and then I can kind of place my circle so that it goes right back to where it needs to be in the card. And then I can glue that down. But I have a kind of an idea of which direction everything needs to go. Okay. And we are going to, let me have your fine tip glue. For our little frame here, I'm just going to dot around with that fine tip glue that I've borrowed from my assistant. Okay. And we're going to use our silicone mat. So I don't know how many of you knew Dr. Mason. He was one of the founding doctors for Lake of the Ozarks Clinic and for the Lake Regional Hospital. He passed away last week, and his funeral was today. I know you know him, Karen. All right. So there is that part of our card. Now let's do this part. And Sue has to remember that this part, this is going to be a piece that we lay here. Now we could either use, and you guys can decide, so let's have a vote here. Should we use this piece or this side? So it would be like this. This is how it's going to lay. Okay, we can't use this side because the flowers are going the wrong direction. It looks like they're coming out of a brick wall. So that's the side we're going to use there. But should we use the blue side or should we use the little flowered sides? So I know, Karen, he was. That's why I thought maybe you hadn't heard that he had passed away. I seen Julie Kemp. Cherie says the flowers. Okay. I'm assuming this side, Cherie, not the little blue flowers, because there's little blue flowers on there. If I don't get no more votes, I'm going to go with Cherie's. Karen says the flowers. Cindy says the flowers. Okay, we're going to go with the flowers. So we're going to use our Stampin' Seal Plus. I'm just going to put some on our paper. Place that down, centering it, or as close to centering as that Sue gets. Sue has a different center point than everybody else, I think. So I seen Julie Kemp last night, Karen, at the visitation. Her and Kevin, not Kevin, Randy. Kevin's in Florida. Then we're going to take the pink piece and lay it down a few minutes over today. The only way I think I can stay to 1 hour is if I don't have any fun fold cards. Well, that's no fun. So now I'm going to lay that piece down. All right. Now, I think this is the most difficult part. We're going to lay this in here to kind of see where we have to place our little flower ring. Okay. And that looks pretty good because I have my stem matching up and I have my little flowers matching up and my leaf down here. So that's kind of where I want to put it on this piece. So what I did was I took a regular little pencil and I just made a real light little pencil line on that border so that I would know where to place that. And you only want to put adhesive on the bottom part of this. So we're going to put some adhesive, and I'm just going to use liquid glue on the bottom part of that circle. That may be a bit much, Sue. Let's kind of rub that out so that it doesn't squeeze out on us. And I'm going to, whoops, before we do that, we are going to adhere this piece. That way it's not slipping and sliding on us. So how many of you that come to the club class would you like to make any of these cards that I've made today? No? All right. My assistant is over here shaking her head. No, she doesn't want to make any of these cards at our card class. I don't understand why, but all right. Then we're going to lightly lay this back down since I do have the adhesive on it and kind of work it around as to where it needs to go. And you want to hide that frame that it's sitting on. So this is like the little hard part of it. But come in. tell that that's where it's going to stay at. Before I press it really hard, I'm going to turn it, making sure, come on, that I have it. And one thing with this card, you can actually use and do a stamped image in this circle. I didn't because I wanted to just kind of showcase the paper. Well, why in the world? This is just not, you know how one thing can just work out perfect for you one time and the next time you do it. So there we go. And this is Mary Merlot. So this is the Mary Merlot in the paper. And I thought, well, you know that I haven't, Mary Merlot is one of those papers that isn't used a lot. So I did get a little excess glue there. Let's get my adhesive eraser and we're going to get rid of that so that it doesn't stick to our card.
Did you find your
Mm-hmm. All right. If you don't have an adhesive eraser like this, it's called a gum eraser. You can get them at different craft stores and stuff. Stampin' Up! Doesn't sell them, but I couldn't live without mine. So there is that part of the card. I got sticking out up here. Get my tweezers and pair's kind of messed up. Doesn't want to close. There we go. All right. Now we're going to stamp our greeting on the outs or on a piece of balmy blue. And this piece measures 3.5 by a 1/2 inch. And I'm using the Go-To Greeting stamp set. I love this because it's got some really pretty fonts to it, and it's got happy birthday, thinking of you, just a note, and thank you in all the different fonts. So I'm making this a birthday card because I'm needing some birthday cards. So I'm going to use a small little happy birthday. Don't ask me why I didn't leave it on the box this morning because I knew I was having to use it. Class is going to be the second Friday of October because the third Friday I have to leave to go to Kansas City to do a demonstration with some Stampin' Up! Demonstrators in Kansas City. So it will be the 14th. I am stamping the happy birthday in the Mary Merlot. And I'm stamping it as in the center because we're going to take another of our banner punches. And we're going to punch each end. And I think for this card, I'm going to use this end. I always use the other end. I think for this one, I'm going to use this end. So I always turn it over to make sure that I've got it centered in the back. And that is a little long. So we're going to cut this and trim this down a little bit because that's just a tad bit longer than really what I want. So we're just going to clip off some on both ends and put that back in our punch. Watch if I cut it too short. Oh, I don't think I did. Come on. There we go. There, that's better. Because I didn't want a sentiment that took over half the bottom of the card. And I did do Stampin' Dimensionals on our greeting. And I do love my Take Your Pick tool to help me take those little bits and pieces of paper off of my. Okay, we're going to put our greeting down there at the bottom. Happy birthday. Now, on my example card here, I used the little brushed butterflies for my embellishments. On this other card, I used the iridescent rhinestones. So I don't know if you can see those on the camera. Can you see those? Okay. Another vote. Should we use the butterflies or should we use the iridescent stones? Karen, I thought you were going to be home for the class since it was a week before. Maybe that was the last class in September. Okay, I've got no votes yet. Karen says they're rhinestones. Cherie has butterflies. Cindy has butterflies. Terry, you're our tiebreaker, kind of, if you're still on. Lynn, are you still on with us? I hope so. Just type in the comments whether you think the butterflies or the iridescent. Terry says the butterflies. Okay, butterflies have it. So let's put some butterflies on here. We're going to use a big one. I'm going to use my putty. Come on. Might be ready for a... We're going to put one up there in the white spot so it really shows up. And we'll put a tiny one down here on our greeting. And then I think I'll put another big one up here. So there's our 3 butterflies. So this card, instead of opening this way, it actually opens up this way. But the cool thing is, it will sit up. So that's kind of cool. So it does sit up. It just opens in a different manner. So let me get some of this stuff off of my desk. And we will get all 3 of them out here to show you. Well, Karen, that's all right if you're gone. You know that my lovely assistant will...
She's got to bring chocolate this time because I'm tired of doing them.
Okay. She has said that you got to bring her back chocolate because she's tired of doing everybody stamping when they're on vacation and
not taking me with
not you know, not bringing her back a reward. You know how children are. They like rewarded for their efforts. Kind of like an allowance, I suppose.
Or take her with you on vacation.
Or take her with you on vacation, she says.
I'm not picky.
You know, she doesn't care one way or the other. I, on the other hand, no, she can't go again without me. Because...
We're going in November.
Yes, I am. I'm going on 2 trips. One in October, one in November. So I can't wait. I am so ready for a getaway. Not that I'm going to have any time to sightsee. All right. So there is the 1 card. Okay. And I really do kind of like the way that stands up. You can't really see it. Maybe you can this way. I know it's upside down, but that's the 1 card, but it's supposed to open like this. So if you are the winner next week, you'll get to choose between which one of these 3 cards you'd want. Then we have our pumpkin card, and then our Christmas card. Okay, so there's our Christmas card. Here's our pumpkin card, and then there is our birthday card. Okay, so what do you think, ladies? You like those cards today? You like the 3rd card because of the paper, but you'd probably make number 1. which is this one here. Is this what you're talking about, Terry? Or are you talking about number one? Number one card. Okay. The paper dimensions will all be out on my blog along with the pictures of the cards. And then you can watch the video and stop it and pause it at your desire to know how to put the cards together. Okay? So until next week, which is the 6th of October. Yep, 6th of October. I can't believe that. Oh my goodness, my granddaughter is turning 13 on Wednesday. And my oldest child will be 43. Dorothy's birthday is the 12th of October. She will be 43. I am old. All right, ladies, we will see you all next week. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really have fun doing these cards for you, and I hope that I have given you some inspiration on how to make some new cards with some different designs. So until next week, have a great time stamping. Bye.